He came here just for you guys all the way from Tokyo.
All the way
straight
from Tokyo,
here from
London to
Asia,
Tokyo.
man. How was that, man? How's the experience of that, flying like that?
Well, I tell you, I travel a lot. That's probably the nicest airline I've ever been on. Yeah, and it was my first time to Tokyo, so that was pretty cool.
How did it differ from your expectation to what you actually saw?
Tokyo is probably one of the cooler cultural places I've ever been. I'm not a city guy myself, so going there, I sort of said, well, okay, it's gonna be a big city. I'm excited to see the food and stuff. But I was really shocked at the amount of respect and the amount of pride that goes into everything they do. They really, really take a lot of pride in everything from cuisine to the way their shops look, the way they do everything. Everything is about their craft, whatever their craft is.
I mean, if you guys don't follow Scott on Instagram, I highly recommend it, man. Your photos are so fun. I mean, tell me, how long was that flight? It looks like you did it right, though. I mean, you're getting up there. You were serving the flight attendants as well, man.
Yeah,
What a blast at the ANA, yeah.
Yeah, I had to have some fun with it. No, they actually let us on the airplane about 15 minutes before to dick around, and that was interesting. That was fun. But everyone was so nice on the airplane, and I just was like, screw this. You guys sit down. We're gonna serve you. And I was with a bunch of my buddies, so we all were just messing around and having.
Is Tokyo probably the coolest place you've been for work thus far? I mean, where are some of the other locations that you've been?
Well, I've been a lot of places. I don't know if it, it's by far, I think, the coolest city I've ever been to. I would put it up, put it right up there with, Cape Town and other places like that, Australia. Yeah.
You got to explore the fish market. I mean, how was the food out there? How were you eating?
Yeah, the food's incredible. The food's incredible. Actually, last night, the food is so good in Tokyo. There's this place called Eastwood, and it's a ramen place. And they have two here in New York that are by the same owners. And so last night when I got into New York, I said, I got to go to Eastwood. And so that was the first place I went.
Everyone's on Open Table right now. I think they're booking the reservations.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is.
I mean, was there anything else that you got to experience that you were shocked by? I mean, obviously the city, the buildings, the people. I mean, what else did you guys get into in Tokyo?
I went and did a traditional kendo class, which was cool. I said, I gotta do a bunch of stuff.
Explain kendo for people who might not be.
Kendo is Japanese sword fighting. So we took a traditional Japanese sword fighting class. That was with a teacher, by the way, who did not speak a word of English. So
that makes it difficult, the teacher-student relationship.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was great, though. It was great to really soak in the local flavor. When we got off the airplane, we went straight out to a place called Chiba, and we went surfing. We said, hey, we're in Japan, let's go surfing.
How were the waves out there?
The waves were good. Yeah, the waves were fun. And then we went to a traditional spa out there where there was, like a cold plunge and a steam and all these things. And you really feel a lot of zen out there. Yeah.
I mean, how long were you out there? How long was the flight? How long were you out there? How was that whole process?
The flight's only about 10 hours. It's quick. It's an overnight flight. You wake up and you're there. You're like 6 a.m. So, you get on a nice airplane like ANA, then you wake up and you're there.
Was it tough to leave? Did you want to sort of stay there with your master and just learn kendo and change your life? Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm gonna come back. I'm going back in March for Pacific Rim. So I got to do some press out there.
There we go. That's a nice little transition to Pacific Rim. So let's. I think we have a clip. We have a trailer to show right now.
You do?
That's huge, man. That's huge. I mean, how does it feel to watch that right now?
Well, I feel really blessed to just be a part of something so cool. I grew up on old monster films, right, like Godzilla, and what I thought was interesting about the world that Guillermo del Toro created in the first Pacific Rim was that it was like if we had these old monster films that we grew up on. How would we, in the future, fight these type of monsters as a human race? Which was, I thought it was pretty interesting. It was like, well, we build these giant robots and we do battle with them.
And make them look really cool.
Yeah.
And give them cool blasters
Definitely
and
really
swords
cool.
and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, how is it like meeting this cast? I mean, obviously, there's some of the cast came over from the first one, right? Charlie Day and there was a couple other people that came over. You know,
Yeah.
explain that.
Charlie was great, you know, and Gore and all the original cast that came back. Everyone was having a great time, which sometimes you don't get on these things. You know, sometimes you get a lot of ego in these kind of big movies or something. Everyone was just a really nice human, which was a nice departure.
And what can people expect from this one versus the first one? I mean, is this going to continue the legacy, continue the story?
Yeah. It's this one is 10 years into the future, so there's some new toys. I think people will like, and it's cool. It's got a great story to it, and we got a ton of new cast, including myself and John Boyega and Kaylee and a bunch of the other younger kids in it that are really great in the film.
I mean, talk about your character a little bit. I mean, what's he like?
My character is the Jaeger pilot who shares with John Boyega. He's sort of the tip of the spear. You know, John Boyega's character, they sort of have gone separate ways in their life, and when war comes back around, you got to reunite.
How was it meeting John? Obviously, he's having a bit of a moment now with the Star Wars and everything like that, and getting to sort of get to know him.
Yeah, John's great. John's a fantastic actor and even better guy. You know, I think we both see the film industry in the same way. You know, we're really lucky to be where we're at, and we just really enjoy making films, and we know that's what it is. It's just making films. We're not curing cancer or anything. So.
Did you guys get to hang out a little bit while you guys were filming?
Yeah, we did. We shot in Sydney and in China. We shot in Qingdao, China, which is a first for both of us.
So you're like away from everybody you know. It's like you and the cast are hanging out.
Yeah. We so much so that we would sing karaoke almost nightly at the hotel we were staying at.
What's John Boyega's song?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably peg him for like a Tina Turner kind of guy or. No, I don't know. I don't know what he was singing. We were there was a few beers involved in those nights.
Do you have a go-to? What's your go-to karaoke out there?
What's love got to do with it? Probably.
Oh, that's great. Now, just a little bit for the. No, I'm joking. Don't tell me that. Now, what's it like to sort of act? You know, you're playing a Jaeger pilot. You know, you have to sort of characterize these things. What does it feel like to act that out when you can't see everything that's going to be happening in the final product?
Oh, we have no idea what the fuck we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing at all. We're just, we're really in the director's hands. Look, we can watch the first one and we can talk to everybody, but this is make believe. So we are trusting in our great director Stephen DeKnight to tell us, hey, this is going to happen in front of you here, and then we need you to do this here.
How's this differed from the roles that you've done in the past? Was this a new experience for you? I mean,
Yeah.
Suicide Squad is obviously in that realm of not knowing exactly how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of visual effects in movies like Suicide Squad and Fast and the Furious. You trust a lot of the filmmakers' vision, and you are sort of along for the ride. And you say, okay, well, tell me what happens. They lay it out sort of for you, and then you obviously have your ideas about the scene or how you want to interact with these sometimes fictitious characters.
How does it feel to be a part of so many great sort of universes? I mean, the Suicide Squad universe, the Fast and the Furious universe. What fans are different? I mean, do you feel like a reaction from people when you join up a cast, or you're the new guy on the block?
Well, look, I've just been, like I said, I'm blessed to be a part of these projects. I'm just really, to be honest, I'm happy I'm a working actor and be able to go out and tell stories and do what I love. So, I'm along for the ride.
Tell me about the Fast and Furious franchise. I mean, that film was so huge last year. I mean, tell Little Nobody taking on that role.
Little Nobody, yeah.
Getting known as that, Kurt Russell, working with him, that's fantastic.
Well, I mean, he's a legend. Legend. I grew up on Kurt Russell films. Everybody in that franchise, they're all monsters, right? You got Charlize Theron, you have The Rock, you have Vin Diesel, you have Ludacris. You have people from every sort of walk of life, and then you have people from you got people in hip hop, you got people in R&B, it was I grew up listening to Ludacris, right? I mean, so it's sort of surreal sometimes. You say, wow, geez, he's really that's Ludacris, and he's.
Did you bring that up to him? What do you think of that?
I know, he did. We got along really well, him and I. He's quite funny, actually. People don't know that about him. He's quite funny.
He does a great job with the comic relief in the episode, along with Tyrese, obviously.
Yeah, Tyrese, yeah.
They seem like they have a lot of fun on set.
Yeah, and it was fun because Tyrese gets to play this wild character who's sort of a pain in my ass through the film. The residual fun.
Effects last after cut, or you guys get to sort of leave that?
Well, a little bit.
What's the coolest car that you got to drive through that process?
To be honest, I didn't get to do a lot of driving.
Too expensive to drive, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so we have an incredible stunt team who does the bulk of the driving. A lot of the stunts are extremely dangerous, and they shoot them all over the world. So they shot them in Iceland, they shot them in Australia. They travel all over almost as long as the first unit production is filming, and a lot of the stuff they're doing is sort of stuff that's unprecedented. So they're pushing the limits with these cars. So I didn't get to do a lot of the fun stuff I would have loved to done.
Is there a time where you sort of like put your foot down, like I want to do this stunt in a past project, or gotten into it?
Yeah, I try to do that. I try to do all my own stunts. That's the fun stuff for me. It's physical, it's fun. I was doing looking back. I was doing a stunt in France on a film, and I was jumping from a car to a semi-truck, and we were going probably about 45 miles an hour, and looking back on it, I put my foot down. I said, no, I want to do this. And they said, oh, we don't really
insurance,
think we should do it,
yeah.
and insurance and stuff. And I sort of fought for it. And looking back at it, I had no place doing that stunt. No place.
You're like
whatsoever.
Watching it back on screen, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, and it looks great. It looks great for the shot, and I'm glad I did it. But maybe I'll think twice about that next time.
Do you hear things? How are you in the world of Suicide Squad 2? The next Fast and the Furious. I mean, do you know what's going on there? I mean, what are you hearing? Are you hearing just as much as the fans are, and wondering, if this character is going to come back or?
Look, I'd love to. I'd love to come. I'd love to be a part of any of it. I just sort of take project by project, and there's other stuff I got cooking, and hopefully everyone will like that stuff. And if there's something good in future installments, then great. I'd love to be a part of it.
I mean, being a lead in a film like this, I mean, did you ever see this happening in your career? I mean, how did it all start? Where did that passion start?
Well, it started when I was a kid. I started watching my father make films and be a part of great films. I think be a part of moving films, films that were, were one of a kind. I watched a lot of film as a kid, and I'd see, a film my father would either direct and act in, and I'd say, wow, that was pretty special. So I sort of had a school that, I'm looking at from two different lenses. I'm looking at one. This is my father, and this is also a movie star making a film. I said, if he could do it, well then maybe I could do it. And so I sort of was inspired as a kid.
I mean, along with your father, you've worked with some great actors. I mean, who have you learned the most from? Sharing a camera with.
Oh, I don't know if I could put it on one person. It's a collective thing, and it's still a school. It's every day. I feel like I go to school and I learn more. And I think the minute you start thinking you know it all is that's the pride before the fall. So every day is like it doesn't have to be from some famous actor. It could be from a grip or someone telling me, hey, you do this or you do that, and help, and you go, oh, I never saw it like that. That's interesting way to do things or try things.
I mean, you've been a part of a lot of films that sort of push the boundaries of that experience. I mean, Fury was another one. I mean, what was shooting that like?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, David Ayer is an incredible director. Watching, Pitt, Jesus, he's talk about a master of his craft as an actor. That was very powerful. There was a few moments in that where I got to watch him, probably arguably at some of his best work, and nobody says anything. A pin could drop on set, and you're just blinded by how great his performance is. It's really something else.
And then he brought you back David Ayer brought you for Suicide Squad. I mean, what was it like working with him with that kind of cast? I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, it was an incredible. Yeah, I didn't know much about the project when he told me.
I feel like nobody did.
No, they're very secretive, those DC folks. He sort of said, hey, he called me, actually. He was from a block number, and I was like, who the hell is he? He actually psyched
Always
me.
pick up block calls is basically the advice there.
Definitely. He called me a couple times, and I sort of sent it right to voicemail. I don't really pick up numbers I don't know. And then I finally answered. I said, who the hell is this? And he said, hey, it's David. I said, David who? He's David Ayer. And I said, Mr. Ayer, hey, what's going on? And then he said, I got this part in this movie for you. And I said, okay. And he said, yeah, I can't really tell you about it, but you'll be hearing from somebody. Okay, sure.
You just say yes to that.
Yeah.
You just say yes.
Yeah, you pretty much just say yes. Look, it's David Ayer. He's a fantastic filmmaker.
Incredible. Okay, well, there's some questions out in the audience. We're going to start right there.
Hey, Scott. How did you get into the part of Pacific Rim Uprising?
How did I get into it? I don't remember. I was working on another film. I think I was working on... I can't remember what film I was working on, but I got a phone call from my agent, and they said, look, I'm a pilot. So when they told me, would you like to play a pilot? I first was like, a pilot? Oh, well, that's cool. I said, yeah, I'm really.
You're thinking aviation. You're thinking flying.
Yeah, I had no idea it was flying monsters, robots.
You had no idea how cool it was.
Yeah.
Next question.
Hi, I was just wondering what was the most difficult role you had to prepare for and why?
The most difficult role. I think, I'd probably put, probably any time I've done a World War II film, which was Fury, and I also did Flags of Our Fathers many years ago. I think anytime you're doing something like that has a lot of, that has so much meaning for a lot of people, you can't not really respect it and really do your homework. And then you got to put everything you have every day into it, because you're right there with, you're talking to veterans every day, and you're talking to people who have been a part of it or have lost people in that war, and so it was so meaningful. I think you really got to take a lot of care.
Absolutely. One last question.
Hi. So, since you've been in several franchises from the Fast and Furious, Pacific Rim, and the DC Universe, are there any other franchises that you would love to get your foot into?
I've never thought about that. For me, it really comes down to director and story. Sort of, if you've done a genre, you can sometimes feel exhausted by it. So you spend a whole year of your life sometimes on a film, or 6 months on a big film filming. You can sort of say, well, I sort of did that genre, and then another subject matter will come up, and you'll say, oh well, that's sort of different. That's exciting. That keeps me challenged, and then you go with that. And then if you like it, I'm really I like to follow good directors if I can.
Okay, we actually have time for one more question. So right there.
Hi, I wanted to ask you, how often do you fly? And then your partnership, would you rather to perhaps have like a private jet and only fly with them?
Would I
Or
like a private jet?
yeah,
Sure. Are
anything
you
in the
buying?
works?
She's asking.
I would love a private
I know you
jet.
love the airline,
Yes.
so I wanted to find out more about that.
How often do I fly myself? Oh, or with ANA? Well, this is a new partnership. I started about a couple weeks ago, so we'll see. But hopefully a lot more, because I had a great time in Tokyo, and they fly a bunch of other places. So, yeah. What's my favorite what? Oh, my favorite part about flying with them? The service, definitely. It's the best. It's probably the best service I've ever flown.
I'm telling you, you have to check those Instagrams. The service looks pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
you'll be using them to go back to Japan to promote Pacific Rim
I better,
Uprising,
yeah.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys can go see that, right? Another round of applause for Scott Eastwood, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.